Hey, friends. Welcome back to Redefining Her Game. I'm so glad you pressed play today because we're diving into a conversation that every single one of us needs to have with ourselves: how we're spending our time. You've probably heard people say we all have the same 24 hours in a day. But here's the truth: we don't all have the same amount of time left. None of us knows how many days, weeks, or years we get. And that's exactly what makes this, our time, our most valuable asset. We can make more money, we can replace things we lost, we can rebuild what's broken, but we can't make more time. And once it's spent, that's it. So let me paint a picture for you. Imagine that on your kitchen counter, there are a few glass jars sitting side by side. Each jar represents where your time goes. One jar is for your family and friends, your relationships. Another jar is for work. One jar is for just scrolling, media, social media, emails, stuff like that. And then maybe there's another jar just for you, for rest, joy, learning, or chasing your dreams. Now imagine a big bowl of marbles sitting next to those jars. Each marble represents 10 minutes of your day. Every time you spend time on something, you drop a marble into that jar. So when you sit down with your kids for dinner, plunk, a marble goes into the family jar. When you spend an hour in a meeting or answering emails, a few marbles drop into the work jar. When you find yourself scrolling TikTok or Instagram for just a minute, that turns into 30. Yep, more marbles into the phone jar. And when you take a walk, read a book, journal, or work toward that dream you keep tucked in the back of your mind, those marbles go into you jar. And at the end of the day, you step back and look. Which jars are full? Which ones are nearly empty? You might find your work jar overflowing, your phone jar half full, and your family jar looking a little sparse. Maybe your you jar has one lonely marble rolling around at the bottom. That visual? It's kind of eye-opening, isn't it? Because time isn't just something we pass, it's something we place. Every minute goes somewhere. Every marble tells a story about what mattered that day. And here's the best part: you get to choose how you spend that. You get to choose which jars you want to fill. You get to decide what story those marbles will tell about your life. Because the truth is, our time tells on us. It reveals what we love, what we chase, what we settle for, and what we prioritize. So let me ask you, if you looked at your jars this week, would you be proud of where the marbles landed? Did you give enough to the people who love you, to the things that fill you, and to the dreams you're still chasing? Because the beautiful thing about time is that every morning you wake up to a brand new bowl of marbles, a fresh start, another chance to fill the jars that actually matter. And that's what today's episode is all about. We're talking about our most valuable asset: time, how we're spending it, who we're spending it with, and how lucky we are to wake up each morning and choose where to place our marbles. So grab your coffee, or maybe your sneakers if you're out on a walk, and let's dive in together. So let's talk about this idea of time, our most valuable currency. We hear people say it all the time: time is money. But I actually think time is worth so much more than money, because you can make more money. You can save it, you can spend it, you can lose it, and you can earn it back. But time, once you spend it, it's gone. There's no refund, no return policy, no rollover minutes. Every single day, life quietly deposits a fresh handful of marbles into your bowl, a new supply of hours. And all day long, we spend them. sometimes intentionally, sometimes without even realizing it. And just like money, we spend our time reveals what we value most. If I looked at your bank statement, I could probably tell you what matters to you. And if you looked at your time statement, where your hours actually go, you could probably say the same thing. And listen, I don't say that to make anyone feel guilty by any means. I say it because awareness is where freedom begins. Because when we start noticing where our time is really going, we can start taking it back. Let's make it practical for a second, right? Imagine if your day was printed out like a receipt or a bank statement, every transaction listed out in order. It might look like something like this: 7 a.m., family breakfast. So, investment, connection, laughter, sometimes a little chaos. It's messy and loud. Someone's asking where their shoes are, and the toast might be a little burnt. But these are the moments you'll look back on one day and miss. And then from like 9 to 2, work, right? Investment, productivity, paycheck growth. These hours might be full of meetings and emails and deadlines, but they also represent how hard you work, your skills, your contribution. Maybe it's not always exciting, but it's a big part of how you support yourself and your family. 3 o'clock, scrolling. I mean, that could be an investment sometimes, like a distraction you needed, maybe a few laughs, maybe a dose of comparison. You tell yourself it's just for a minute, and suddenly 40 minutes have vanished into thin air. Sometimes you find inspiration or connection online, but other times you realize that wasn't a marble you didn't need to spend. 7 p.m., journaling, walking outside, it's an investment. Peace, clarity, reconnection. Maybe you step outside and the air feels different, quiet, fresh. You take a few deep breaths and realize how good it feels to just slow down. Or you open your journal and for the first time all day, you're not reacting, you're reflecting. That's not wasted time. That's time that returns to you tenfold, right? Now imagine looking at the time statement at the end of the day. You'd be able to see where your marbles went, what filled your jars, what drained them, and what gave you something back. And maybe you notice that the richest days aren't always the busiest ones. They're the ones where your time was invested in what truly matters. So let me ask you, if your time is your currency, are you spending it or investing it? Spending to me is when we're on autopilot, reacting, saying yes out of habit, filling every minute with purpose. Like investing is when we choose with intention, when we give our time to the people, passions, and practices that actually give something back. And I'll be the first to admit, I've spent plenty of time on things that didn't deserve it. Worrying about what people think, trying to make everyone happy, giving too much to things that didn't give anything back. But that's part of learning. That's how we start to realize just how valuable each marble really is. So if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I've been wasting time, then stop right there. You're not behind. You're just waking up. You're becoming aware that your time, your life, is your most valuable currency. And that means you get to start investing it differently, starting today. Maybe you start small. Maybe you choose 5 moments a day, 5 marbles that you're going to place intentionally. 10 minutes of quiet before the house wakes up. A real conversation with your teenager instead of just small talk. A walk outside to clear your mind instead of another scroll through social media. Maybe time to dream about what's next. A new project, a goal, something that makes you come alive because you're chasing your dreams. That's not selfish. That's one of the best investments you'll ever make. Those marbles, the ones you spend on the people you love, on your growth, on your joy, they're the ones that make you feel full every day, even if your schedule isn't. So as you move through today, picture that bowl of marbles again. Every decision, every distraction, every connection. And at the end of the day, when you look at your jars, ask yourself, which ones are full? Which ones need more attention? And most importantly, did I invest my time in what actually matters to me? Because remember, time isn't just money, it's meaning. It's the quiet currency of our lives, and how we spend it shapes everything. So now we've talked about how we spend our time. Let's talk about who we're spending it with. Because if time is our most valuable currency, then the people we spend it on are our greatest investments. So here's something I've been thinking about lately. We often say, I don't have time. But the truth is, we make time for what matters to us. And if we're not spending enough time with the people who fill our cup, it's not because we don't have time, it's because we've given it away somewhere else. So let's pause and kind of picture those jars again. Imagine each jar labeled not with tasks, but with people. One jar says family, another says friends, and another might say spouse or partner. Maybe one says kids or teens. And there's even one labeled community. The people who might not live in your house, but who make you feel like you belong. Now, if you looked at those jars right now, which ones are full? And which ones have a little dust on the rim because it's been a while since you dropped a marble in? Let's start with family, because that one hits really close to home, right? How many of us spend our days running around doing things for our families, but not actually with them? Like we're driving kids to practice, doing laundry, cleaning up, checking emails, and it all feels like love. But sometimes it's love that's rushed, love that's efficient. But what our families, and especially our kids, crave most isn't our productivity, it's simply our presence. And if you've got teens or young adults, you already know. Connection with them looks completely different. They're busy, they're independent, they're figuring themselves out. And sometimes they act like they don't want to hang out with you. But here's the secret, they still do. They might not say it, but they still want to know that you see them, that you care enough to slow down. So what does dropping a marble in that family jar look like? It might be sitting on the edge of your teen's bed for 5 minutes before they fall asleep, or taking a drive together with no agenda, just music and conversation when they're ready. It might be watching their favorite show with them, even if you don't understand half of it. Connection doesn't always look like a big family dinner or deep talk. Sometimes it looks like presence, like just being there. Now, let's talk about your spouse or your partner. If you've been with someone a long time, it's easy to fall into the rhythm of logistics. Did you pay that bill? Can you grab the milk? Who's picking the kids? Before you know it, weeks go by and you've been communicating, but not really connecting. So, what does it look like to spend intentional time with your spouse? Maybe it's cooking dinner together, even if it's just mac and cheese and a glass of wine. Maybe it's going for a walk after dinner instead of watching TV. Maybe it's simply putting your phone down when they walk in the room and say, "Hi, I missed you." Those tiny, intentional moments say, "You still matter to me." That's a marble worth placing in the jar every single day. Now, let's talk about friendships, because this one can quietly slip away without us noticing. We love our friends, but we say we're all busy. And we tell ourselves we'll get together soon, but soon turns into next month, and next month turns into next year. So ask yourself, when's the last time you spent time with a friend, not because it was convenient, but because it mattered? It could be a quick phone call instead of a text, or dropping by with coffee just because you were in the area. It could be sending a voice memo saying, "Hey, I saw something today that reminded me of you." Those small things, but they keep the connection alive. And here's the truth. We need our people. The older we get, the easier it is to isolate, to think I'm fine, I'm busy, I'll check in later. But connection doesn't happen later. It happens in the pauses we choose to make right now. And then there's the community jar, the one for the people who make the world feel a little softer, the teacher you always chat with at school pickup, the neighbor who waves when you walk your dog, the coworker who just gets it. It's easy to underestimate how much those little interactions matter, but they do. Sometimes those are the moments that lift us when we didn't even realize we needed lifting. So let's take a breath and get honest. Who's getting your best hours right now? Is it the people who fill your heart or the people who drain your energy? Because the truth is, not everyone deserves equal access to your time. You can still love people from a distance. You can still care without constantly pouring out. Your time is precious. Protect it. Spend more of it with the people who light you up, the ones who remind you who you are, the ones who leave you feeling full instead of empty. And just a gentle reminder, connection doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. If all you have time to do is text your kid, "Hey, I love you," or to call your mom for 5 minutes, or to sit next to your spouse and hold their hand while you watch a show, that counts. That's connection. That's a marble dropped in the jar that matters most. So before we move on, take a second and picture those jars again. Which ones are overflowing? Which one needs a little more of your time, attention, and love? Who could use a few extra marbles from you this week? Think about it. Because the people we spend time with, that's the legacy we're building. One conversation, one dinner table, one walk, one text message at a time. So we've talked about how we spend our time and who we spend it with. Now let's talk about what we're actually spending it on. Because if time is our most valuable asset, this is where things really hit home. We have all the same jars sitting on our counter, the same hours waiting to be placed somewhere, but what we fill them with shapes everything. And here's where I want you to really lean in for a second, because most of us don't often realize we hand out marbles all day long, not to people this time, but to things. Some are worthy, some are necessary, and some are just noise. So let's picture those jars again. One might say work and responsibilities, another might say distractions. One says dreams and goals. Another says rest and renewal. And maybe one last jar says worry and comparison. If you had to guess which of those jars is getting the most of your marbles lately, be honest, because I'll tell you right now, my worry jar used to be overflowing. I could have built a tower out of those marbles. I'd spend hours replaying conversations, worrying about things I couldn't control, or trying to prove something that I didn't need proving. And by the end of the day, I was drained. Not because I didn't do enough, but because I'd been spending my time on the wrong things. That sound familiar? Let's walk through these jars one by one, because I think this is where we start to see what needs to shift. The work and responsibility jars. Like, we all have to fill this one. And honestly, that's okay. This jar represents what keeps our life running. Your job, your bills, the endless task of adulting. There's pride in this jar too. It represents your dedication, your reliability, your ability to provide. But the key is balance. When this jar overflows, everything else starts to run dry. If all your marbles go here, you'll look around one day and realize you've been keeping everything together, but missing the people and moments that make life worth it. So maybe the question isn't, do I have to work? It's, am I letting work take up every jar in the counter? The distraction jar, let's be honest. Like, this one's tricky. It's the scrolling, the emails, the multitasking, the just checking one thing real quick. We all drop marbles here. But sometimes we look up and realize we've poured half the bowl into it. And it's not that we should never relax. Sometimes a funny video of mindless squirrel is exactly what the brain break needed. But the problem is when distraction becomes our default, when every quiet moment gets filled with noise, we lose the chance to hear ourselves think. So, how many marbles did I drop into my phone today? And if I picked even one of those up and moved into something that refills me, reading, stretching, walking, journaling, calling someone I love, how might that change the way my day feels? All right, the dreams and goals jar. This is my favorite and probably the one that gets neglected most because dreams take time and time takes courage. It's so easy to say I'll do it later when things calm down, but life rarely calms down. If you're waiting for the perfect season to start chasing that dream, you'll probably be waiting forever. So, what would it look like if you dropped even one marble a day into that dream jar? One small action towards that book you always wanted to write, the business idea, that certification, that creative spark you haven't let yourself follow in years. You don't have to drop all of it there, but maybe just one each day, because that's how dreams grow, one intentional marble at a time. And if you're listening and thinking, I don't even know what my dream is anymore, maybe that's where your time belongs right now, in rediscovery, in getting enough quiet to ask, what do I want for me? Then we have the rest to renewal jar. Let's talk about rest. The jar that for so many of us stays empty until we break. We treat rest like a reward for exhaustion, like we have to earn the right to slow down. But rest isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's what keeps all the other jars from cracking under the weight of life. Rest can look like sleeping in, but can also look like joy, like sitting in the sun, laughing with a friend, taking a deep breath before the next thing. Those moments aren't wasted. They're refueling. Because when we rest, we remember who we are. And then we get to the worry and comparison jar. The jar that none of us mean to fill, but somehow always does. We drop marbles here every time we measure our life against someone else's highlight reel. Every time we replay a conversation that didn't go perfectly. Every time we tell ourselves we're behind, not enough, or running out of time. And here's the thing, those marbles don't stay put. They steal from the other jars. They drain energy that could be going to your dreams, your relationships, your joy. So maybe it's time to pick a few of those marbles up and place them somewhere else. I mean, let's remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. Because you get to decide what kind of life you're building with your time. Are you building one full of hurry and distraction, or one full of connection, peace, purpose, and joy? It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. So here's your reflection for the day. Which jar has been overflowing lately? Which one have you been neglecting? And what's one marble you could move today to make you feel more like you again? Because at the end of the day, we only have so many marbles. And when you spend them intentionally, when you place them in what truly matters, your life doesn't just get busier. It gets beautifully full. You know, something hit me the other day. We've been talking about time, how we spend it, who we spend it with, what we fill it with. But there's another layer to it that I can't stop thinking about. It's not just where our time goes, it's how we use it. It's when you really think about it, so much of our time gets spent through words. Every conversation, every text, every little moment of speaking or listening, it all counts. Every word is like a tiny piece of our time we hand to someone else. And the thing about words, they linger. Long after the moment's over, they stay with people. Our words leave fingerprints. Think about it. What's something kind that someone said to you years ago that you still remember? Maybe it was just a teacher who said, "You're really good at this," or a friend who told you, "You have the best energy. You make people feel comfortable." Oh, maybe it's your spouse or your child or someone who said, "I'm proud of you" at exactly the right moment. Those words didn't take long to say, but they stuck. They shaped how you saw yourself. Maybe it was a teacher who said, "You're really good at this," or a friend who told you, "You have the best energy. You make people feel comfortable." Or maybe it was your spouse or your child or someone who said, "I'm proud of you" at exactly the right moment. Those words didn't take long to say, but they stuck. They shaped how you saw yourself. In the same time, that's true for hard words too. We all carry a few that still sting. Maybe something someone said out of frustration or judgment that got lodged in our memory and replayed way longer than it should have. It's wild, isn't it? How something that takes 3 seconds to say can last years. That's how powerful our words are. When we speak, we're spending marbles too. Each word is a marble dropped into someone's jar, ours or theirs. So we have to ask ourselves, what kind of marbles are we spending with our words? Because the truth is, words can build bridges, or they can build walls. They can light someone up, or they can dim them without us even realizing it. And listen, this isn't about walking on eggshells or being perfect. It's just about being aware and how powerful our words really are. And if you're sitting here thinking, I've said some of those things that probably left a not great feeling to someone, take a deep breath. We all have, we're all human. Parenting's messy, marriage is messy, life is messy, but here's the beautiful part. You can always plant new words. You can always fill that jar differently starting today. You don't have to stay on autopilot. Sometimes connection comes from just saying something small and kind. Hey, I noticed how hard you're working lately and I appreciate you. Or you looked really nice today. Or even just thanks for helping with dinner. It sounds tiny, right? But kindness changes the atmosphere. It takes the sharp edges off of the day. And it doesn't take much time. A few words, one marble dropped into the jar of someone else's heart. It can shift everything. Even at work, our words hold weight. Think about it. The coworker who always feels overlooked, the person in the meeting who's trying to find their voice, a new employee who's nervous and just needs someone to say, "You're doing great." A few kind words can change someone's day. Maybe even their confidence. Long term, words can lift each other up. What if we decided our online words would always be the ones we say face to face? What if we use that space to add light instead of more weight? So here's what I hope you hear in all this. Your words carry power. They have the ability to heal, to encourage, to build confidence, to inspire, and to others. I mean, you can make such an impact. Just be intentional. Words, like time, don't come back once they're spent. But we always get a new chance to use them better tomorrow. And that's the beautiful part. We can start over anytime. One word, one sentence, one kind moment at a time. So, you know what's been hitting me as we've been talking through all of this? We are so much luckier than we realize because every single day we get the gift of choice. We can't make more time and we don't know how much we have, but we do get to choose how we spend the time we've got. And that's powerful. When your feet hit the floor in the morning, life hands you a brand new bowl of marbles, a brand new set of hours, a brand new chance to decide who will I spend time with, what will I spend them on, and how will I show up with what I'm doing. That's the quiet gift most of us forget we have, the ability to choose again. Maybe yesterday your phone jar overflowed. Maybe your work jar got every last marble and your you jar sat empty. Maybe your words didn't land the way you wanted them to. That's okay. Start today. That's the beauty of choice. It's not a one-time thing. It's a daily invitation. Every day we get to decide to be more present than we were yesterday, to fill our jars with things that bring joy, not just noise, to use our words in ways that build instead of break, to drop a few marbles into the jars that actually matter. The people we love, the dreams we put off, the parts of our lives we've neglected. That's not pressure, that's freedom. The gift of choice shows up in small ways too. It's choosing to pause before responding when you're frustrated. It's choosing to step outside for a breath of fresh air instead of reaching for your phone. It's choosing to tell your teenager, I love you, even when they roll their eyes. It's choosing to compliment your spouse instead of critiquing them. Those little choices, they add up. They shape the rhythm of our lives. And this is where it gets good. When you start choosing intentionally, when you start placing marbles with purpose, your life begins to feel different. Not busier, not more productive, but more peaceful, more connected, more yours. Because you're no longer reacting to the day, you're shaping it. And that's what redefining her game is all about, isn't it? It's about remembering that you're not just living life, you're creating it. You get to decide what kind of day you have, what kind of energy you bring, what kind of legacy you're building. One marble, one word, one choice at a time. So start small. Just recognize where you spend your marbles and where you want to spend them. There's no judgment here. It's just awareness. This is the heart of it all. You are the keeper of your time. You are the author of your story. You are the painter of your canvas, the gardener of your days, the one holding the bowl of marbles every single morning. And you get to choose how to spend them. Choose boldly, choose kindly, choose with intention, because the gift of choice, it's not just about how we spend our time. It's about how we spend our life. So let's kind of think about this in a reflective way. If you're journaling this week or just thinking through your day, try asking yourself, what do I want to make more time for this month? Who fills my life with joy? And how can I spend more time with them? What's one small dream or goal I can drop in a marble into this week? And how can my words today build connection with others and with myself? Because in the end, your time tells your story. And what a beautiful story it can be when you start choosing it on purpose. Let's kind of talk about how we actually do this. How do we reclaim our time? Because let's be honest, it's one thing to want to spend your time better and another to actually make it happen. When your inbox is overflowing, your calendar's packed, and everyone seems to need something from you. But here's the truth. Reclaiming your time doesn't have to be a massive overhaul. It's not about color-coded planners waking up at 4 a.m. unless that's your thing. It's about small, intentional shifts that slowly take your time and your peace back. So a few practical things. Audit your time with curiosity, not judgment. This just brings awareness. You don't need a fancy system. Just jot down things in notes in the morning on a notebook. When you feel rushed, when do you feel peaceful? When do you feel connected or disconnected? This isn't about guilt. It's about honesty. Because once you see your time laid out in front of you, the marbles in each jar, you can start to make gentle shifts. Set boundaries with grace. Here's something that might sting up. We can't reclaim time without boundaries. That may mean saying no sometimes. Boundaries aren't walls, they're just gates. They help protect what's important to us. Create small rituals that ground you. Reclaiming your time doesn't just mean cutting things out, it also means adding back the moments that fill you. Instead of scrolling, go for a walk. Write things down that you're grateful for each night. They don't have to be huge things. Protect your quiet space. Not every minute has to be filled. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to justify peace. Even just 10 minutes a day, you're telling yourself that your well-being matters. Reclaim time with the people you love. Let's not forget why we're doing all this in the first place. It's connection. When you start reclaiming time, make sure some of those marbles go to the people who matter most. Put your phone down during dinner. Look your partner in the eyes when they talk. Ask your teen about the day and listen. Call the friend you've been meaning to. These moments don't have to be long. They just have to be intentional. Let's also choose joy and purpose. Here's the part we're forgetting. Reclaiming your time isn't just about getting things done. It's about creating space for joy. When you laugh, when you rest, when you notice something beautiful, you're not wasting time. You're living it. So leave a little space in your day to find joy. Turn the music up on the car ride. Step outside and feel the sunshine on your face. Send that funny meme to your best friend. Joy doesn't demand big moments. It really does hide in the small ones. So as we close today, I've been thinking about how much we've covered and how much I needed this reminder too. We talked about where our marbles go, who we give them to, where we fill our jars with, the words we speak, and the choices we make every single day. And if you take one thing from this conversation, I hope this is it. Your time is sacred. It's not about being productive every minute. It's not about perfect routines or color-coded calendars. It's about remembering that your time, your life is a gift, and you get to choose how to spend it. Every morning you wake up with a new bowl of marbles, a brand new chance to decide what matters most. Who will give you your time? Who will you give your time to? What will you pour your energy into? And how will you speak life into the people around you while you do it? You get to decide that every single day. And maybe today you don't love where your marbles went. Maybe you realize your work jar overflowed or your phone jar got more attention than you wanted it to, and that's okay. Tomorrow's another day, another bowl of marbles, another chance to start fresh. But that's the beautiful thing about time. It renews itself every morning. You can always begin again. So maybe after this episode, take a few quiet minutes and think about your jars. Where are your marbles landing these days? Are you ready to start placing them differently? There's no judgment here, just awareness. Because awareness is what gives you back your power. And before we go, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending part of your time here with me today. You could be anywhere doing anything, and you chose this space, this little corner of conversation. And I don't take that lightly. My hope is that every episode reminds you that you're seen, that your time matters, and that your life is full of possibility no matter what season you're in. Because that's what Redefining Her Game is all about. Choosing your own pace, creating your own version of success, and learning how to live your life with purpose, grace, and joy. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to share with someone who might need that reminder. And if you haven't yet, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen. It helps more women find this space, and it means the world to me. I'd love to hear from you. Which jar are you focusing on this week? Is it family, your dream, rest, connection? I want to cheer you on. All right, that's it for today. Go fill your jars with things that make you feel rich. Choose intentionally and speak kindly. Remember, time is the story you're writing with your life. One marble, one moment, one word at a time. I'll see you next week.